Let's cut to the chase. What is the deal with the Rolex Submariner? Well, if you're watching this, you probably already know that it's more than just a timepiece. It is the timepiece. But what makes the Submariner so special? Is it just the name? The heritage? Or does it actually live up to the hype? Stick around because I'm going to dive deep into the full story behind the Rolex Submariner, from its beginnings to why it's still one of the most iconic watches in the world. Let's find out why the Submariner is a legend. Number 1. The birth of the Submariner, a dive into history. The Rolex Submariner was born in 1953. That's right, this iconic watch has been around for over 70 years. But it wasn't just a luxury piece, it was designed for a purpose. The Submariner was created as the ultimate dive watch, meant to be water resistant up to 100 meters, which was a big deal back then. It had to withstand the harshest conditions: water pressure, salt, and, of course, time itself. It was crafted with precision, innovation, and a focus on performance. When it was first released, it wasn't about luxury or style, it was about function. Rolex wanted to make sure that divers could rely on their watches in extreme conditions. This wasn't just a luxury watch in the way we think of them today. It was a tool, a serious piece of equipment for people who risked their lives underwater. But here's where it gets interesting. Even though the Submariner was originally designed for diving, it quickly became a status symbol. And that's where the magic started. It turned into the watch that everyone wanted to wear, even if they weren't diving into the ocean anytime soon. Number 2, the design. Timeless and functional. Oh man, the design. The Rolex Submariner is sleek, it's classic, and it's instantly recognizable. It's got that perfect balance of elegance and ruggedness. The 40mm case size, it's just the right size. Not too big, not too small, making it a versatile piece that can go with anything from a wetsuit to a tuxedo. I mean, how many watches can do that? Let's break it down a little more. The ceramic bezel. It's made of Cerachrome, which is super tough and scratch resistant, so no worries about your watch looking beat up after a few years. The black dial with those luminous markers, perfect for legibility, whether you're in the deep blue sea or just strolling down the street. It's a design that looks good in every scenario, whether you're at the dive bar or on a super yacht. But what sets the Submariner apart is its ability to blend luxury with purpose. It's sophisticated, but it's still built to withstand whatever life throws at it. That's a fine line to walk, and Rolex nails it every time. Number 3, the Rolex movement, precision and performance. If the Submariner looks good, that's great, but what about the heart of the watch, the movement? Inside that elegant stainless steel casing, the Submariner houses Rolex's famous caliber 3135 movement. This is one of the most reliable movements ever made, known for its precision and durability. With a power reserve of about 48 hours, it can keep going even if you take it off for a couple of days. Now, here's where it gets even cooler. The Submariner movement is certified as a superlative chronometer. In layman's terms, that means that it's tested to a level of precision that's higher than the standard for Swiss chronometers. You're not just getting a luxury watch, you're getting one that has been rigorously tested for accuracy. In fact, the Submariner's movement is known for being so robust and reliable that it's become a benchmark for all dive watches. It's almost like the gold standard of movements. And that's why the Submariner remains so revered by collectors and watch enthusiasts. Number 4, the legacy. More than just a watch. Well, by now you probably know that the Rolex Submariner isn't just a functional tool, it's a symbol of achievement, style, and luxury. But how did it get there? How did a tool watch from the 50s become the epitome of luxury? Well, a lot of it comes down to Rolex's marketing genius and the cultural associations that followed. For one, the Submariner was the choice of some pretty notable people. Think James Bond. That's right, 007 himself wore the Submariner in the early Bond films. And let's be real, that solidified its place in pop culture forever. Who wouldn't want to wear the same watch as the world's most famous spy? But it wasn't just the movies. the Submariner also found its way into the hands of explorers, athletes, and world leaders. Anyone who wanted a combination of performance, durability, and luxury. The fact that it could survive the deepest parts of the ocean and still look good at a black tie dinner made it the ultimate status symbol. So it's not just a watch, it's an embodiment of success, adventure, and style. It's a watch that says, "I've made it," whether you're on the deck of a private yacht or just chilling in the city. Number 5, the collectability factor, why it keeps getting better. Let's talk about the money part, because we all know that the Rolex Submariner isn't cheap. In fact, it's expensive. But here's the thing. The Submariner is also an incredibly collectible piece. The longer you own one, the more you start to realize just how much of an investment it is. The Submariner has a history of appreciating in value over time. If you buy a Rolex Submariner today, you can rest assured that you are buying a watch that's going to hold its value, or in many cases, increase in value. There are even vintage models that have shot up in price as they've become rarer and more sought after. It's not just a watch that you wear, it's a watch that you pass down. Rolex has managed to create a timepiece that's as much about collecting it as it is about wearing it. It is a symbol of wealth, achievement, and generational legacy. Number 6, the Submariner in the modern day, still the king of dive watches. Now, let's talk about how the Submariner stacks up in the modern day. It's 2025, and the Rolex Submariner is still, hands down, one of the most respected dive watches in the world. But how does it keep its crown in an era of high-tech dive watches with all sorts of digital features? Simple. It doesn't try to compete. It just does its thing. The Submariner may not have a digital depth gauge or a fancy touchscreen, but it's got something better. Timelessness. It's a watch that doesn't need any gimmicks or fancy tech features in order to remain relevant. It is built for performance, designed for style, and tested to last a lifetime. Even in a world of smartwatches and gadget-heavy dive watches, the Rolex Submariner remains the king of classic dive watches. It's simple, it's functional, and it is so good at what it does that it doesn't need anything extra. And number 7, the iconic green dial, a modern twist on tradition. Finally, that one thing that really makes the Submariner pop, its iconic green dial. Enter the Rolex Submariner Hulk. Yeah, the nickname stuck for a reason. Released in 2010, this green beauty was a bold move by Rolex, showing the world that they weren't afraid to push the envelope while still honoring their legendary design. By combining the traditional Submariner design with a striking, vibrant green dial, Rolex turned the concept of a dive watch on its head. Let's be honest here. The green dial Submariner is a showstopper. It's not just a pop of color, it's a complete reimagining of the classic design. The rich, metallic green tone shifts depending on the light, sometimes dark and moody, other times bright and eye-catching. It gives the watch a whole new energy, turning a timeless piece into something fresh and modern, while still keeping that Submariner essence intact. It's like paying homage to the past, but having a little fun with the future at the same time, right? The green dial also makes the Submariner stand out in a crowd. While most dive watches stick to traditional black, blue, or other muted tones, Rolex dared to make a statement with green, and it worked. Now, the green Submariner has become somewhat of a cult favorite among collectors and watch enthusiasts. It's rare enough to feel exclusive, but not so rare that it feels unattainable. For anyone lucky enough to own one, you're not just wearing a timepiece, you're wearing a statement. You are part of a select group that gets to rock one of the most unique and coveted Rolex watches ever made. And honestly, it doesn't get much cooler than that. Well, that's all from my side. So, what makes the Rolex Submariner so special for you? Let me know in the comments down below, and I will be sure to respond to every single one of you. Like and subscribe if you love elegant timepieces. And if you don't subscribe, it means I'll just have to wait another day to onboard you. Catch you in the next one.